Caitlin Clark injured. The WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to carry the league. I'm not just talking about ratings. I'm not just talking about attendance. The WNBA will be reliant on their other stars to maintain the interest of the mainstream. With Angel Reese being the only player with mainstream name recognition, most of the pressure, it is going to be on her to perform. And we have plenty of evidence that proves Angel Reese is not qualified to carry the league.
Caitlin Clark's season has officially come to a heartbreakingly close. And unlike last year, this can't be brushed off as just bad luck, bad timing, or nagging injuries. No, this year the collapse stems from something deeper, something systemic. The shadow of jealousy, embodied most visibly by Angel Reese, has hovered over the entire season, clouding what should have been a golden year for both Clark and the league itself. What started as hype over a budding rivalry between two of the game's brightest young players turned into a season-long battle of ego, envy, and unchecked physicality. Instead of watching the WNBA celebrates its new face-off basketball, fans were forced to watch Clark endures cheap shot after cheap shot, unprotected by officials, mismanaged by her own franchise, and targeted mercilessly by opponents who believed bruising her was the only way.
Reese, under pressure. When you think about it, there have been so many classic songs written about the WNBA dump. Obviously, Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie, which directly applies to what Angel Reese and her colleagues are going through right now. An immense amount of pressure to carry this dump of a league while Caitlin Clark recovers.
From a quad strain in May to groin tightness in Genito, a worsening tear in July, and finally the crushing bone bruise in August, Clark never had a stretch of uninterrupted health. Each setback layered onto the last, her body absorbing more punishment than any rookie-turned-sophomore star should have expected to shoulder. But what turned injuries into this season-defining tragedy wasn't just the hits. It was the culture that allowed or even encouraged those hits to happen.
In her rookie season, where she received 20% of all the flagrant fouls in the league, and most of them came from Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky. And these weren't basketball plays. They were not only fouling her, but they were getting up, laughing about it, laughing about Caitlin Clark getting assaulted. Any other work environment, people go to jail for what's going on.
Anyone watching could see it. Clark became the lightning rod. Her every possession shadowed, not by defenders trying to outplay her, but opponents looking to send a message. That message was simple. You don't belong at the top. Until we say so. And at the center of that hostility was Angel Reese. Her rivalry with Clark had been spotlighted since their college days, and the WNBA saw dollar signs in playing it up. But what began as a marketing hook turned toxic fast?
Girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that. How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
Reese wasn't just competing. She was thriving on the notion of taking Clark down physically, using bumps, grabs, shoves, and hard fouls as proof she could handle the spotlight. Cameras caught her, reveling in it time and again, celebrating contact as though it stamped her authority on the league.
Last year, I noticed how much it was just Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was taking all the hits. Caitlin Clark was taking all the abuse. But this year they've added Sophie Cunningham. She gets more flagrant fouls on her than anybody in the league besides Caitlin Clark. And Aaliyah Boston, she's been taking hits as well. But the worst thing is the consistency. So they don't call flagrant fouls, or most of the time, Caitlin Clark could be held for an entire game at a time. They don't call fouls. They don't call common fouls.
Fans weren't blind. They saw Clark tossed around on off-ball screens, bodied before catching passes, hammer-eaten drives to the hoop. They saw it over and over and waited for whistles that never came. Instead of pushing back, the league turned a convenient blind eye.
Why?
Because the drama sold. Because every time Reese jawed at Clark or Clark retaliated with a glare, highlight packages and headlines followed.
This time trying to get respect for your league, and then you do bitch stuff. The only B's out there I see are the B's that are being dramatic about Caitlin Clark. That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court. Instead of playing the game, they got to be drama because they're jealous. Instead of letting their skills speak for themselves, they got to be drama because they're jealous.
But that focus on rivalry came at a cost. The safety of the very player drawing millions of eyes to the league. Caitlin Clark wasn't just a promising young star. She was the star, the single player whose arrival rewrote the business of women's basketball. Overnight, networks paid tens of millions for broadcasts because Clark guaranteed ratings. Teams rearranged their schedules to move Indiana Fever Road games into bigger NBA-style arenas because Clark guaranteed sellouts. Merchandise sales skyrocketed. All-time highs for a rookie player and jersey sellouts for franchises that hadn't seen six figures in years.
It's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season of them. The Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a weight for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back only for that not to happen takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA.
Clark was the engine. Her presence alone created the Clark effect, turning regular season games into national events, putting women's hoops on trending topics and sparking debates on mainstream sports talk shows that previously ignored the WNBA entirely. And yet, when it came time to safeguard that investment, the league dropped the ball catastrophically.
A two-time All-Star and the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year has been sidelined suffering a right groin injury during the Fever's 87-77 win over the Connecticut Sun on July 15th. If you guys remember that game, Caitlin Clark put the team on her back in the winding minutes to give the Indiana Fever that lead. Clark also suffered a bone bruise at a later date during her recovery.
Instead of shielding Clark from reckless physicality, she was paraded on court day after day. Injury concerns dismissed, officiating inconsistent, and drama was weaponized against her. The end result, a body broken long before it should have been, and a league now scrambling to adjust to arenas filled with empty seats.
Worked so hard throughout this time, doing everything possible to recover and return to the court, but ultimately, time is not on our side, said Indiana Fever COO and GM Amber Cox. While we will continue working with Caitlin and provide her with every resource we have available, there is not enough time left in our season for her to safely return, and her long-term health and well-being remains our top priority. We are looking forward to having her back at full strength to start the 2026 season. Clark appeared in 13 games during the regular season, averaging 16.5 points, 8.8 assists, and 5 rebounds per game, while helping lead the team to the 2025 WNBA Commissioner's Cup title.
This cup upset didn't happen overnight. Go all the way back to May. Reports from training camp quietly noted Clark's squad was tightening. For most franchises, caution would have followed. Limit minutes, let recovery dictates the timeline. But Indiana had other plans. They leaned into her as the centerpiece of every scrimmage, every fan event, every broadcast push. The precautionary label appeared on injury reports, but it was little more than window dressing. Clark still played, taped, iced, and rushed back.
This is what Caitlin wrote. I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way fans continue to show up for me in the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I'm so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through the adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the play.
Then came June's groin. Tightness. A lingering issue turned into July's year, and by midsummer, Clark was running on fumes. Her bursts were in there. Her cuts lacked pop. Her jumpers became flatter, but the expectations never adjusted. By August, the dominoes finally crashed. A bone bruise forced the decision everyone had been dreading. Clark was finished.